Miss Brawling Beauty is a multi-talented, award-winning performer and a pioneer of the Utah burlesque movement. As a dancer, she began in strip clubs before shimmying into burlesque. As a circus performer, she's a ringleader, clown, eats fire, lies on beds of nails, and walks on broken glass. Oh, and she kickboxes. She has produced such shows as Vaudeville Avant-Garde, Candy Cabinet Burlesque, and Men of Obsession. Miss Brawling Beauty is a proud advocate for performers with disabilities, alongside her service animal, Althea. Aw, here's a couple more pictures of Althea. I had the pleasure of chatting with Miss Brawling Beauty from her home in Las Vegas, where we discussed, amongst other things, growing up Mormon, strip clubs, and burlesque.
Be quiet, please. There's a lizard to my immediate right. It's my son's
Oh, I love it.
lizard. Yeah, there she is. Hello, dear. Smile for the camera. I'm using her basking light for my own showbiz needs right now. So if I start shedding, don't be surprised. Hello, welcome to Burlesque Galaxy. I am Bradford Scobie. I am delighted and thrilled to be inviting to the show Miss Brawling Beauty, the mistress of Moxie, reporting all the way from fabulous Las Vegas. Hello, Miss Brawling Beauty.
Hi there, how are you?
I'm delighted now that you are before me, you gorgeous creature. So now what we're going to do, folks, we are calling this Going the Rounds with Miss Brawling Beauty. I'm going to throw a subject at her. She's just going to go, and then the bell's going to ring, and we're going on to another subject. Miss Brawling Beauty, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right,
Let's do this.
fantastic. So, first subject, childhood.
I've definitely had an interesting childhood. I was born in Salt Lake City, Utah, home of the LDS Mormons. My dad was a clown. He held 3 Guinness Book of World Records until he passed away a few years back of cancer.
I'm sorry.
He did wonderful, amazing things, all children's charities. He never charged a dime, which I loved. It all came straight from the heart, you know.
You said your dad was in the Guinness Book of World Records?
3 times.
What
for blowing
for?
up balloons. For blowing up balloons. The most balloons tied in an hour, the most balloons blown up in an hour, and then there was a third one I can't quite remember. 2 of them were in the regular Guinness Book of World Records. The third one, believe it or not, was in the Mormon Book of World Records.
Oh, well, my goodness, that's wholesome. I must
Right?
say that you're not allowed to smoke in that religion, and it paid off.
I was born into a family that converted into Mormonism. Of course, I have always been a sassy mouth, and I've always, I think, lived who I truly was from the moment I was born, with no regrets. And with that being said, at the age of 13, I told my bishop that I was queer, which is something that I think my family's known since I was born. Needless to say, I was excommunicated, which was probably the best thing that happened in my life. But I was unfortunately married because of the Mormonism and everything else at a really early age. I was married at 16. I had my first child at 18. You know, and not having an education, I really didn't know how to provide for my kids. So of course that led me into dancing, which of course came the shame from my childhood of being who I was, not being the typical good Mormon, you know, that went to church, had a normal job, you know, did all that. I definitely went off the rails and decided to be who I truly was. So I'm really blessed that, you know, the first half of my life was really hard. The second half was so much better. And this part right now is fan-freaking-tastic because I can live truly who I am.
The third half is always the best.
I am a stripper. I may not be able to count, except for the dollar bills.
Oh, yeah. Next round, Strip clubs.
I loved working in the strip clubs. As I said, I didn't have any education, so the best way for me to provide for my 2 young children at that time was to do something I already knew, which was to dance. I auditioned at the age of 19 for a totally nude club and peep show in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Now, when you say peep show, what does that mean?
I was kind of like one of the last of the peep show dancers in Utah. In the nude clubs, they had private rooms you could go into that was separated by glass, and the men could pay 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, and 90 minutes to have a private dance with you. So we would go in there, we get completely naked. Now, the funny thing about Utah blue law is that if you are completely naked and a man happens to pull out a private part, you are not allowed to move. You have to stop. You cannot move. So a lot of times you were left upside down in very weird positions while this guy's doing what he's doing. Very interesting blue laws we have there.
They should call them blue balls laws.
When I turned 21, I decided to move out of the nude clubs and go into the shaker clubs, is what I like to call them. And I started at the $1 Million Saloon, which they had a $1 Million Saloon in Salt Lake City, Utah, and in one in Dallas, Fort Worth. I started at the one in Utah, loved it there. It was my first time seeing features come through the clubs. I was just a house girl for several years. After that, I decided I wanted to travel. I wanted to be a feature myself. So I started booking myself out of state. Traveled with a few of my other friends, which was a lot of fun. At that time, I would go out of state for a week and stay home with my kids for 3 weeks. So it was great. They put us up in, a hotel. We had our per diems. It was pretty nice. A lot of the girls I traveled with, I am still friends with to this day. I do like to say that, I am blessed that my stripper friends that I met along the line are still in my life. And they've been my biggest support, to be honest with you. So, been really, really lucky that I worked for mostly good people in the strip clubs. And I've seen a lot of things, done a lot of things, told a lot of secrets for people.
All right, next round. Your favorite burlesque performer.
So easy for me. That would have to be my home state's burlesque legend, DeMilo, the Venus of Dance. She is by far my favorite burlesque dancer in the world. And there's so many reasons why. Not only was she the original OG pioneer of Utah burlesque, she did so many wonderful things, not just for her community, but for her family. We had a lot of the same issues growing up with being Mormon and being shamed for being strippers, especially from our mothers. So I think that clicks a lot. Also, in the 40s, when she started dancing, most of the money that she made was sent back home. And then her mother would send that to Germany and then bring all of her family over from Nazi-occupied Germany.
Holy cow.
A lot of people don't know this about Dee. And then in the 60s, she decided to retire, moved back home to Utah. And her mother told her, if you're going to retire, you need to repent. And they burned all of her stuff, all of it, all of her magazines and videos and costumes. And I guess that's her mother's way of saying she needed to repent. And a lot of people do know this story. Many years later, her daughter found a trunk in the attic and opened it and found this amazing red gown. Only thing really that survived the burning. It's such a blessing to have that one piece of her history survive. And I'm very fortunate, that I've mentored under her all these years, and that she has given me such a strength to continue, and to keep being a pioneer in the revival of Utah burlesque, and to keep encouraging people, because she is absolutely one of the most kind, genuine loving human beings you will ever meet. And I hope someday you get to meet Mr. Milo.
I do too. Bing! All right, next round, disabilities.
Well, I was able-bodied most of my life. And in 2016, I had a succession of 3 heart attacks. I was incredibly lucky to survive that. The cardiologist told me I wouldn't be dancing again, the damage that was done to my heart. And I couldn't accept that. I couldn't, my whole life, I couldn't be told what to do. The doctor ain't going to tell me what to do. And I said, I'm going to have to do it myself. At that time, I was not only dancing, but I was tattooing. I didn't have any insurance. So I didn't have cardio rehab, didn't have the money for it. So I had to do it on my own. And it took a lot of crying, a lot of pain, a lot of stress, a lot of mourning, but each time I was able to go longer to the point where I was able to complete one act. And that was a huge moment for me when I was able to go back to stripping. Shortly, about a year after that, my heart attacks, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, which is, wreaked havoc on my body as well. Not just, my muscles, my nerves, and my joints, but, emotionally, it's wreaked havoc on me. Outside of that, a few months ago, I was having issues with my memory, and I used to crack jokes about it, to make myself feel better.
Yeah.
And then finally I said, I've got to go in and find out what's going on with me. I went in, I had an MRI, and they discovered a pretty severe traumatic brain injury. And that's actually pretty normal considering that, I was a fighter for many years and I have had numerous concussions. And just kind of one of the downfalls of, being in a really violent sport. And then I recently, actually just about 6 weeks ago, had a full hip replacement.
Oh my.
So, but the thing is I love the fact that there are so many performers now that have more visibility than they did before because of things like the Disabilities Festival. That, as I said, was like a huge thing, being a disabled performer and then having someone else in the community start this amazing festival is fantastic. I find that, it is so hard for accessibility for most of us. And so to have people in our community, be very positive advocates for all of us has been wonderful. That's my history of, my disability. And I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep doing this and just be me and show everybody that we are all beautiful, no matter the ability.
Well, that's the beauty of burlesque too, is it's all inclusive, and it's always showing people that not only themselves, but the audience, that beauty is, you cannot put it in a box, and sexuality too. You cannot put it in a box.
Absolutely. We are all beautiful sexual creatures. And, we got to praise that.
Last round, here we go. Being a pioneer. Bing!
I love being one of the pioneers of the Utah Burlesque Revival. We have a few of us that are still doing it. It was a lot of work. It definitely was not easy for any of us, any of the pioneers, to convince club owners to allow us to do burlesque inside their clubs, especially with the stigma of being strippers, all these hateful, spiteful sluts, the things that come in with it, and trying to show them that this is a show. It is a beautiful theatrical performance. There's humor, there's comedy, there's political, it's all of it. And it took a while, but we worked our butts off. We got into those clubs. We all started teaching, and then our babies started teaching, and then their babies started teaching. And I look at the Utah Burlesque, revival now, and I am so very proud of how far it's come.
These clubs, they must have seen the light at some point.
I will tell you what showed them the light. The Slippery Kitten Burlesque. We were accepted to compete on America's Got Talent in 2008.
Oh, fabulous.
That right there, that one moment is what set and convinced most of the club owners in Utah to allow other performers and burlesque shows to go into their venues at that time. Because, hey, if it's going to be on NBC, it should be okay, right? The funny thing about America's Got Talent too is that was the first time I think in my life my bio mom was proud of me. So it is a little bittersweet, but as I said, I'm pretty happy that at least we had that opportunity to make our mark, and I will forever be grateful for the experience that I had with the Slippery Kittens Burlesque. But I'm so happy I left and chose to do my own thing.
I imagine part of it is trying to convince these club owners that the audience you will be attracting is not just a bunch of sleazy guys sweating into their beer.
I think halfway through it, they realized that more than half of our audience is female.
Yeah.
And I think they realized you're bringing in the females, all the men are going to come.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And it was honestly making women comfortable with themselves. I think when a person who has always been kind of insecure into themselves or may not feel sexy sees someone that looks like them on stage, has a huge impact. And that's why I love about burlesque is you don't know what you're going to see next. You don't. You can see everything and everybody. And guess what? There's somebody out there for everyone. And we all desire something different. So to have that diversity in this industry is so important because I'll tell you, I love me some diversity.
Well, on those wise, beautiful words, my dear, that does it. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. Bye.